Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Today we're going to dive into the maps of consciousness and explain what that's all about, and I'm going to relate it back to my last videos. But first, I just want to break down my purpose and why I'm doing all of these videos. And so I am here to guide you into the depths of your subconscious mind, into the caverns and into the darkness and the unseen parts of ourselves that we may not want to go into or we may not even realize exists. And I'm going to bring light into those areas so we can discover and observe all of the cave paintings that are hidden there and the hieroglyphs and the symbols that are all deep within ours, and help decipher, and so we can understand these symbols and understand their meanings, because once we understand them, then we can unlock our potential and our purpose and our power, because we just have that deep knowing and that faith, and we are connected to this high vibration and this high source, and we are going to transcend our levels of consciousness because we know exactly how to get into our own heads and understand the things that are hidden within the subconscious. So I'm here to make the subconscious conscious and raise our vibration to bring us into this great state of high energy and happiness and power. So today we are going to talk about Dr. David Hawkins' work on the maps of consciousness. If you haven't heard of him, look him up, read his books. I really love Power versus Force and Truth versus Falsehood. Now, Dr. Hawkins, for a quick background, was a kinesiologist, and he did this awesome work on muscle testing and relating it to all of these emotional states. And what he had discovered was when you are in a low vibration emotional state, you were weak. Your muscles could not contract, and they did not have that power. They did not have that strength. And it was a physical guarantee. You could see it right in front of your face that people in this low emotional states lack the power and they lack the strength, because there was, and if you think about it, the feeling of all of these sad emotions, they bring us down to that, lethargic style, meaningless purpose of life. Now, his map of consciousness, I have a picture here. If you look at the base levels, there's the numbers. That is the best way to scale it at first. You got low, then your high is your 700 to 1,000, which is enlightenment. And at the very bottom is 20, which is shame. He has the level name here. He has a life view and a God view, and he has the felt emotion within that level, and then he has the process for transcending to the next level. In these little arrows, you'll notice that lower consciousness, that's like your hell state, and your lower chakras, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, like we talked about, and then your elevated states, because you're raising up in the higher levels. Now, the cool thing about that is this is like that idea I talked about in the last time of hell and heaven, hell, and that's the higher vibration, the lower vibration. And now, when you are stuck in that low emotional state, you are constantly enslaved by the devil, if you will, because you are constantly giving away your energy towards some external source in the environment, right? So these lower emotions, right, that he has written down here from 20 up to 200 is shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, pride. And then at level 200, that is courage, and that is the neutral, and that is the heart chakra, that is the anahata. That is where courage comes from, and that is where the start of your spiritual journey will start. This is where all of the good things will come from, because you have to have the courage to go after it before you can actually get the treasure. This is the basis of every single story that has been written. This is to find the treasure. You have to face your fears. If you like Harry Potter, this is how Harry Potter faces Voldemort, right? This is the thing that he is most afraid of, that he has to fight to free himself. Or the Knights of the Round Table, King Arthur. They go into the forest in the darkest place that they can imagine, and that's fear. That's facing fear. All these cartoons where the fairy princesses and the princes, they have to fight dragons, which is their fear. They dive into the ocean, and Jonah he gets eaten by a whale. That is fear. All of these pictures of lower emotions, courage is the start of that. Getting courage to face your fear is where the transcendence happens. That's why that's the neutral level of 200, and where everything grows or lowers, right? Now, the negative emotions, shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, and pride. The emotions that you may feel with that are humiliation, blame, despair, regret, anxiety, craving, hate, and scorn. And that's always that lack, right? You feel like you need something outside yourself. This is like that feeding of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse that I talked about in my last video, which, if you haven't seen, check it out on my YouTube page. Now, you're constantly seeking, right, to get out of these states, but you keep fueling them and feeding them until you have the strength to be courageous and face them and accept them. Because, you don't want to feel that way. Nobody does. But how do you get past that? How do you get out of that? You have to have the courage to accept it and to face it, right? Otherwise, you're just going to keep yourself in that circle. That vicious cycle of keeping yourself in the lower vibration is because of that pride, right? And that's why pride is just below courage at a level of 175. Is pride, there are certain times where you may feel that they're not that negative, and it's all right to be happy about who you are and whatnot. But the way pride is at level 175 here is because it's the trigger a lot of times towards revenge, right? Like Cain and Abel. The reason Cain killed Abel is because he was jealous and resentful and scornful and angry, and he hated that Abel was so perfect, and that was his pride, right? Cain's pride made him feel that way, and that's why he took it out and he killed his brother Abel. His pride was, my pride is wounded, so now I'm going to seek revenge. And now you stay in hell, right? You stay in that cycle, because now you have to live with regret and fear and apathy and shame and humiliation and all of these negative emotions that make you weak, because you're constantly giving your energy away to the devil, constantly feeding external sources. That's a complete waste. But if you have the courage to transcend that, now you get into these happy feelings. People can't control you anymore because, well, you're not good enough for somebody. Hey, oh well, next. You're not wounded, right? It's that deep understanding that comes with having the courage to 100% be who you are, to take off the mask and to stand in your own strength, in your own person, and just be, right? So now that you've had the courage to do this, you get into the higher levels of consciousness, and you get to move up the chart, right? You get to grow. Now you get into the next emotions, go all the way up to enlightenment, and they are neutrality, willingness, acceptance, reason, love, joy, peace, and enlightenment. And your emotions are trust, optimism, forgiveness, understanding, reverence, serenity, bliss. this is where your entire life changes for the better, because you're starting to feel all these powerful emotions. Your whole life view changes, and it's just like a whole new opportunity right at heaven's gate, if you will. This is the complete turnaround where you start to raise your vibration. You start to forgive. You're not seeking revenge. You're not trying to hurt people who hurt you. You're not seeking validation. You're not seeking your lack. You're not seeking something. You found the strength to get it yourself. And you found the strength to handle that. It's like, whether you're into the whole idea of what it is to be a man, I am. And I know a lot of you out there. And the thing about being a man is you always need to have the strength to stand up no matter what. And that is because people need to rely on somebody at times. And if you're the only one, you can be the one that is strong enough to keep everyone together in a time of distress and loss and panic. If you can master these emotions, and you can be somebody who is reliable, and you become a strength, security, and a good feeling to everybody else. And the thing is, when you can do that, they can become that, because they see that. Now, this is the same thing that I'm trying to teach, is once you know something, you can go after it and become it. But even better than becoming it yourself is you make everyone around you become it, because they feel powerful in your presence, because you are emitting the same power and energy of being and forgiving and loving and just being in that high vibrational state. It's not easy, but it's worth it. There are sacrifices, there are difficulties, there are obstacles, because sometimes you do want to strangle somebody, or hit them, or you want to protect yourself, because it does. Things hurt. Things hurt. You have to be strong enough to suck it up. How do you, thinking about that, suck it up. Direction, up, up, transcending. You suck it up, you build the strength. You can't be hurt. That's freedom. That is potential. That is purpose. You know exactly who you are. You know exactly what you're doing. And you're going and getting after it every day. High vibration. Nothing can tear you down, because you've learned how to let go of the energy vampires that are sucking everything out of you, taking your life, taking away your prana, Get into the mindset that it'll be okay, and that you are capable and powerful and strong, because you've been through shit before. You can go through it again, and this ain't nothing. That is it. And this, you build off of the past. You build off of the past. That's why the only way to go is up. You can do this. I love it. I hope this brought some insight. I'm going to try to cut it out there. If you need more explanation, if you need more insight, please ask, leave a comment, message me. I will love to discuss this further. I know there's so much to explain. Definitely check out his books, Dr. David Hawkins and The Maps of Consciousness. You will not be sad that you checked him out if you are looking to become your best self and to find these metaphors and decipher all the things that are within the depths. Have a great day. Next week, I will bring some more. Peace.